Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the UR Pod Usage Rate. Heading out to the jungle. It's my man Jibber's hometown. So, Jibber's Hot Sauce, if you haven't looked him up on Instagram already, make sure you do that. He will give you a 15% off any of some of Australia's best hot sauce with the code UR15 at the checkout. So make sure you head onto Jibber's Hot Sauce's Instagram and have a look at his shop.
Has Jibber got a hot tip for you for Perth or nothing yet?
He's actually not the biggest NBL fan kicking around. He's a big NBA fan, and he is coming down to watch a game at the Nest in summer. So
we'll convert him.
I'll be pretty keen to see him. I haven't seen him for a while, the big fella. So that's exciting. But anyway, what are we thinking for the Perth Wildcats?
Well, I think everyone is thinking, is Cotton worth the price tag? I think that's the question. 466. You're giving half your tax roll to him. Just a massive payout for him, and essentially, are you going to get the reward for it? And I think you're going to get a similar output to what he got last year. So his price will probably fluctuate, but I can't see him dropping down too much. I can't see him dropping down below 400. And look, he might even have times when he goes above 500k, especially if he's got a fantasy-friendly schedule with a few two-gamers. The thing that kind of intrigued me with the Cotton pick is you want him, you need him, but when are you going to get him? And if you don't start with him, who are you going to upgrade to get him, and where are you going to find that cash from? Because if you're looking at an import, it's based at 277, and Milton Doyle for the Jack Jumpers, he had a pretty good year last year, and he's priced was at mid 300s. So that means that essentially these imports could peak at 300, around that mid 300 price range, which means where you're going to get an extra 120k from to afford Cotton. So that was kind of my thinking. I haven't gone with him because I've gone with who I think is a similar build or a similar player role to Bryce Cotton for significantly cheaper. But that's the only reason I haven't touched him. So, yeah, that's probably the big question that people want to know. Is Bryce Cotton worth the price tag? What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, what do you think? Is he worth the price tag? Look at the fixture really quickly. So round one, Tassie at home, and then at Southeast Melbourne. Round two, Adelaide at home. Round three, Melbourne at home, and then at Sydney. Round four, at Adelaide. Round five, Brisbane at home. Round six, Adelaide at home, at Melbourne.
Yeah, it's really tricky one. Like, there's obviously a fair bit of jumping around there. He is proven though. So you do get that reliability. I guess the things that I kind of tossed up with was that I could go with Cotton for 466, and I could also go with an import, or not an import, sorry, a 69k player. So I could probably put those two together, or I could go and get two players around that 250 price tag. So I went with two players over Cotton and a cheaper one. But obviously, yeah, you've got a fair few options there with whatever you think is going to work best for your team. If you want Cotton, I'd recommend getting him at the start because by round 8, he's played 50% of those rounds. He's had 2 games in. So if you get him a little bit later on, if you get him in round 9, you're obviously only looking at, for the next 7 rounds, he's only going to play once. So if you don't start with him, you're probably realistically not getting him in until round 16. Based off that schedule sort of thing. But obviously remembering that a fair few people do play one game in that span, so you might not really be losing out.
Yeah,
but tough one.
It's a real tough one, isn't it? Because I think, like you said, you probably need to have him at some point, but do you want him through that stretch where they've only got one game? Do you have him at the start and trade him out? Then are you losing out on a bit of value on the other guys that you could just start with? So it's, a bit of an interesting one, Bryce Cotton.
Yeah, it really depends on how the scoring ends up and how much price how the scoring works, because if 466 is an unbelievable price, are players going to be able to get to 400k? Are players going to be able to get up there for you to be able to upgrade? So yeah, the big question mark is, do you go him knowing that you've got him and you've also got money there that if something does happen to him, that you can probably use your 3 trades in 1 week and go and get go and upgrade and use his money elsewhere. So yeah, tough one. He's not in my team to start with, but that's risky. That is risky, rolling the dice.
I think that 3 trades is a really interesting point. We haven't spoken about that on any of the team previews so far, but that probably is one of the times you'd be looking to do it. If you're not starting with Cotton, you're probably going to have to do that to be able to get him in. In terms of guys going up in price, DJ Hogue got from the 277 to 375 last year, so he was obviously that little bit better than Milton Doyle, but still didn't get to the 100k increase. So to find that money, if you're not starting with him, could be really tough.
Yeah, it is a really interesting one though, like, because obviously they didn't run it last year, so we don't know what that 277 price tag is really looking at. Like, we have a little bit of an idea, but yeah, we're saying, like, yeah, as you said, last year they're saying that Milton Doyle started at 277. He's only gone up that much based on averages. Or would he have, Milton Doyle last year, based on his season, would he have gone up and touched those 400k? So
yeah, it's
really interesting. Really interesting. I'm not sure how it plays out.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting watch to start, won't it? Didn't have him highlighted, but after seeing some things earlier today, I'm going to be keeping a pretty close eye on the self-proclaimed Defensive Player of the Year favourite, Jordan Usher. So
I knew this is where it was going.
Yeah, import 277. Obviously, he was obviously an elite defender from some of the stuff I'd seen. He looks to be a stronger offensive player than I probably thought. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on him in the Blitz as well. So he's at that forward spot, which I think is a really critical position in NBL. So keep an eye out for him.
He is coming with a fair bit of hype.
Yeah.
And I think there is a lot of hype with him, and usually that generally translates to he's probably there for a reason. So yeah, watch his space, check out the Blitz, and he's certainly someone which you'd probably argue would be, if you for one of your import spots on your team, that he's probably one worth looking at.
Yeah, for sure. And the other one that absolutely everyone's all over. Everyone's
going to have him, aren't they? Big Sar. Jeez, he was exciting to watch, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, real exciting. It's a whole machine.
He was. He was doing a bit of everything. He a 26-10 game with 6 blocks.
Yeah.
That
5 turnovers.
Yeah, that's a lot. I probably should have included that. And then also, another 17 points, 7 game with 6 blocks, 5 turnovers again.
5 turnovers.
Yeah, he's going to be exciting. He's on the NBA radar. My biggest question is, though, Pinder is there as well.
And didn't play in those preseason games.
Yeah, where are those two going to slot together? Is Pinder going to slide over to the power forward with Sar at the centre, or are they not going to share much court time together? So I think that one's so interesting to watch. I'm so intrigued to see how it plays out. But I think your risk with Sar is probably limited based on his price. Is quite cheap, so you're not forking out a large amount for him. So you can probably roll the dice and see how that plays out with him and Pinder. But yeah, that's probably a big question. How are those two going to operate together? Pinder does have some injury concerns, though, especially late last year. Missed a bit of time. They were quite random injuries, but they obviously did pop up. So if Pinder does get injured and does go down, then you see Sar taking all the minutes at centre, old boy is going to put up some numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Even with those turnovers in those couple of preseason games, average 47.5. So 115k, he's going to go through the roof, you would imagine, price-wise. I think he probably starts at the 4 at this stage, and Pinder at the 5.
Yeah, He is on my fantasy team at the moment, and he is on the bench. Because I've kind of gone with all cheaper players on my bench. My highest price is 115K on the bench. So he's not starting, but that's probably because I'm not sure how he's going to score yet. But if that season goes on, he could very much find himself. If they've got a 2-game week, he could be on the court for me.
Yep, definitely. Like it. Anyone else of note from the Wildcats?
No, it's probably me, Dan. I think the big question remains around Cotton. So I hope we're right that we can try to bring him in later in the season and be able to make that upgrade. But if you start with him, just put the captaincy on him and take those points.
It'll be like the old Dane Swan, Gary Ablett, just chuck it on him for the season.
Yeah, click and forget.
Yeah, Ben Henshaw could be another one as well that I think could be pretty good. Out of centre of excellence. So those guys are obviously elite. They've churned out some pretty good talent out of there over the past few years, and he was pretty impressive in their couple of games as well. So watch and see what he can do against this sort of competition.
And price 69K, so pretty cheap as well. So if you are looking for that cheaper player, he might be a good one for you.
Yep, absolutely. Rightio, we'll leave that one there and on to the championship favourite, Southwest Melbourne Phoenix next episode. See everyone.
Bye now.